From Chablis, it's on to London via the Eurostar. It's a high-speed train that gets us from Paris to London via the Channel. Yeah, that means we go under the English Channel in less than 3 hours. London is unseasonably warm and sunny as well, and we stay in first-class style at Lady Ascot's home, Cliveden House. Wow, it's going to be very hard to go home. We mix more business with pleasure with a trip through Vinopolis. It's a state-of-the-art sensory educational tour of winemaking throughout the ages. One of the creators of this Disneyland of wine is wine writer and wine enthusiast Stephen Spurrier.
Basically, the Wine Odyssey, which you went round, is the world of wine in a museum. But it's not a boring museum, it's an interactive museum. And it blows people's mind in the kind of current parlance. It's really very exciting. I've been involved with it right from the start. I'm involved in the wine education part mostly. But it's a fabulous, fabulous thing to have opened. And
it's very user-friendly. It's very easy. There's no pretension at all.
We don't have an axe to grind. We're just there for people who want to come. And you don't have to be a wine lover to come. You just have to want to have an experience.
But the real reason for our London adventure is to attend the London Wine Trade Fair, a 3-day exposition for those in the wine trade, some 900 exhibitors from all over the world. I think we may have hit the pot of gold at the end of the wine rainbow on our trip here.
Yes, this is the pot of gold.
This is amazing. It's absolutely incredible.
It truly is. This is Mecca for people in the wine trade. I come here, it's a valuable resource for me because there are so many wines. I mean, I can visit New Zealand here, Spain here, Australia here, Portugal here, Sicily here, all the wines of France over here, and around this periphery, well, there are even more wines. So they hold this for 3 days, and for someone who is serious, it can take a lot longer.
You have to do a heck of a lot of spitting in 3 days, I would think.
Yes, you see these little devices right here. These, if you swallowed everything, of course, this wouldn't last very long.
No, absolutely not.
But those little devices, of course, are for people who, like myself, need to taste maybe 100 wines today, you know.
Wow.
And other years when I would be here for more than a day, maybe 100 the next day and 100 the day after that. So depending upon what our needs are, we come here looking for specific things. This year we're primarily interested in New Zealand wines and Australian wines. They're becoming very big in the U.S. market. And they identify very well for the many routes we have going to the UK Commonwealth connection. It makes a lot of sense for us. Plus they have large volumes, attractive prices, and fantastic quality. I mean,
absolutely.
New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is really coming on in
wonderful. One of our favorites that we've enjoyed, as you know, over the past week and a half. But we have special tools that we have to use here.
Yes, we have several tools. Of course, this is the one in which the samples are delivered. The first tool is the eye, of course, to judge the visual mode, and the second tool, of course, is the nose.
The nose.
Yes, for all the olfactory flavors, and then the palate for the gustatory, the balance of acidity and sweetness if there is any, and then of course the overall impression. Is it worth the money? Is it something that's going to identify with our service? And is the price?
A lot of factors. Price is
the price right? Yes. And I particularly, personally, like this particular gathering. First of all, it's comfortable. It's not like going to a summer gathering where it is so warm. It's very comfortable in here.
Although London's been extremely warm the past couple of days we've been here.
Yes, unusually warm, but still comfortable.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, better than Bordeaux in July.
That's what you were saying, not a good setup. And it's very sleek, and it's massive. I had no idea.
Yeah. And for me, too, coming here, there's another resource. I've made friends here. It's good to see them again. Many of our suppliers have been long-term suppliers. It's good to come here, see what they have this year. And we have so many suppliers. I mean, you just can't go to visit them all over the world. I mean, there just isn't time enough to do that. So it works very well. Works very well for us.
And then if they're all compiled too, which is helpful because that's the other thing. The first thing you walk in the door and you see all these wine bottles and these stations. Where do you go?
If you it costs you £5 to get this, which is of course $7.50 or $8. But it has a map inside to serve so you don't waste your time trying to find places, and all the lists of hundreds and hundreds of booths and of stories about new wineries, upgraded older wineries, new participants. It's a valuable resource.
That's a great one. Well, we've got our tools, and we've noticed that some of our friends from our week-long travels are here, so we're going to go take a look at their booths and see what they're offering today to all the buyers out here.
What fun.
Let's go.
Okay.
Richard.
Okay. Jill, this is Valerie and Jacques DELANNOY.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, they're old friends.
Enchanté.
We've known them for years. Jacques is export director for DOMAINE SAUVESTRE. And SAUVESTRE is one of the new up-and-coming negociants in Burgundy. As you can see, some of the classic labels they have: Merceau, Pommard, Mercury, Rully, Chablis, Sauvigny Le Bon, and perhaps most of all, Chablis Beaulois, which is one of my very favorites.
I was going to say, this is one you're very familiar with.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're visiting you for a good reason.
Could we possibly taste a little bit of the Chablis?
Please.
Love to.
That would be great.
Would be delighted.
Tell us a little bit about your wines and the winery.
Yes, this is a Premier Cru. We have two of them, the Beaulois and the Montmain. They are made in stainless steel vats. We do not believe the Chablis Premier Cru can benefit from oak barrel élevage. So we have a wine in the high slopes of the northern area of Chablis. It's what we call the genuine old Beaulois. And we think that we make it in a very big way, because the house originates from Merceau, where the Chardonnays are traditionally big and fat. Would you like to try some, Richard?
I would like to, very, very much. Yes.
And this is something that the people at home need to know. When you, as we were saying, when you come to a show like this, you go with a specific intent to find quality wines.
I do.
But that's a hard job.
Our passengers are fortunately very demanding of Chablis, and particularly a premier cru like this one, which is a classified growth. This is the name of the vineyard here. This, of course, is the Domaine Vincent Sauvestre, who's the negociant who grows the grapes, buys wines from small growers, and puts this together into an assemblage, a blend that is their magic. This is their art, you know. It's limitless, like all arts have to be. But this particular one is going to have a gorgeous flower. Obviously the color is beautiful. It's typical Chablis, golden straw, brilliant, of course, in clarity. But I mean, that is sheer heaven. I mean, that the fruit, the complexity of the soil, the stoniness, the
flintiness.
The flintiness. Thank you, Jacques. That make great Chablis great, and something that only they can do with the Chardonnay grape on their particular property is what's enticing to us, and very most important is what our passengers demand over and over and over and over again. Obviously, every vintage is different. That's why we have to come here every year. Someone has to do this.
It's a tough job, but Dr. Mine has to do it. He does it well.
But seriously, there are good vintages and bad vintages, as Valerie and Jacques will tell you. The 1998 vintage, which this is a very good vintage. I've had the opportunity to taste some 99s. My particular taste, they're going to be even better. Fortunately, even bigger, more quantity, which makes my job a little easier. So, anyway, santé.
Santé.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I adore Chablis, though. It's definitely one of my favorites.
This one I'm not going to spit.
No. Too good to spit. Too good to spit. Absolutely. We wind our way through the sleek booths and endless stream of people in bottles of wine. There truly is a wine for every consumer at this trade show, including one of Dr. Vine's favorites, a Grand Cru Corton Charlemagne.
I see here, Robert, a bottle of Corton Charlemagne. The wine of Charlemagne's vineyard, 1,000 years old. That wine is not 1,000 years old.
Let's hope not.
Yes.
And neither are the grapevines.
Check how old it is.
Yeah. May we have a taste?
Yes, you may, with great pleasure. Again, this is a rare commodity, really one of the top wines, the top Chardonnays available in the world, along with Montrachet and some of the great white Burgundies from the Côte de Beaune. This Corton Charlemagne is 100% Chardonnay, aged for about 16 or 17 months in new French oak. And it's a product that we are very happy to make available to American Airlines, and have been doing so for several years. Let's see how it's tasting.
Oh, let's do.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
And this is one of your favorite stories, too. Corton Charlemagne.
Yes.
Yeah. This is not chilled, but of course it's the best way to analyze the aromatics of a wine. Anything that might be wrong or out of place, out of joint with the wine, would show with the wine at room temperature. And here room temperature is warm.
Yeah, a bit higher than what we had in mind.
Yes.
The legend of Corton Charlemagne is that Charlemagne's vineyard was originally planted in Pinot Noir, which of course makes red wine. And as Charlemagne grew older and his beard turned white, and he being a bon vivant and sensitive to his appearance, that before the Renaissance, wine was drunk from bowls mostly, and some of it would sometimes drip into the white beard and would make him look very fierce, you know, Charles de Grossa, you know. So he had the monks who took care of his vineyard plant a strip of Chardonnay so he could grow white wine, so when drinking in public it wouldn't stain his beard. But it's a legend.
But it's my favorite legend, and we've heard so many wonderful quips and quotes and legends during our past week's travel. This is one of my favorites, and one of your favorite wines.
Yes.
Santé.
Santé.
Joy.
I suppose, Robert, this has not gone down in price.
I'm sure that you'll be getting back to me on that one.
I'm sure that's right, yes. We'll talk later, Robert.
We'll talk later. Robert is a veteran of the trade fair and uses the event to increase both business and knowledge.
It's, I'd say, a more hands-on approach to getting around and seeing what other countries are doing. Stylistically, other winemakers come from all over the world. We can exchange notes. At some of our estates, we have, for example, Australian winemakers that will come and see exactly what we do to get this holy grail that they've been looking for. So we do get, it's very interesting to get as technical as we want, and of course to see our regular customers in England. So it's important to know really what's going on at the cutting edge.
In fact, even some of the greatest winemakers in the world love to stroll the aisles and check out the latest bottlings. As a winemaker, when you go around and try these different wines, what types of thoughts run through your head? What do you learn as you taste other wines too? Because a lot of people would think that someone who makes wine, you already have the ultimate palate. I mean, you're obviously doing the right thing.
No, you're always comparing your wines with other people's, and it makes you appreciate the different tastes in different countries, and how there really is kind of an American palate that we almost unknowingly make wine for, because it's our palate too. It's mostly the wine that we drink is California wine, and but then it's also fun to be here and go through and taste some of your favorites from other countries.
What are some of your favorites?
Oh, well, I go and taste Burgundies.
Of course, there are always first-timers at an event like this, and we have the good fortune of finding a first-time wine trade fair exhibitor whose wines are also new to Indiana. 4 Vines produces Syrah, Chardonnay, and several different styles of that big red Zinfandel.
Zinfandel offers several things that Cabernet does not. A, for the most part, it's very fairly priced. Two, it's got a great spectrum of flavors. There's 4 to 5 major appellations or growing areas in California that produce Zinfandel. Sonoma Zin is going to be slightly different than Paso Robles Zin, which will be slightly different than Howell Mountain Zin from Napa. And I think since it is, in essence, America's native grape, if you will, there's such a large foray of different flavors and styles. 15 years ago, there was probably 20 guys making Zinfandel. Now there's probably 250. Some of them making 100 cases, some of them making 250,000 cases. So it's a broad spectrum. We'll never surpass Cabernet as the king of all red grapes, but certainly Zinfandel has had a great renaissance.
Well, you're giving a wonderful fighting chance here, and a new experience for you and a new experience for us and our viewers, and look for the 4 vines. This is a great find today for us at the show.
Thank you, Jill.
Have a nice afternoon
Hope to see you in
here, too.
Indiana, and
Absolutely.
guys, you need to come over to England. It's phenomenal. Come to next year's wine fair. Thanks.
Thank you. Some of the most popular wines produced today are coming from Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, and Chile. And one of the hottest, and today literally the hottest wine spots in the world is Chile. There's some fabulous wines coming out of there, and we're going to try one. What is
nice
this?
Maquewa. That's a Chardonnay from Chile, the son of Curico, you know.
Oh,
It's a 99 vintage.
Morning, Andrew.
Hi, Chris.
Beautiful color. It's like
Yes, she told me she sent the invitation.
lovely.
Whereabouts are you? Still light and pale, you know, but it's nice intensity.
Very. And not much oak aging
Yeah, we
at
do
all?
the fermentations in oak actually. We do the alcoholic and the malolactic at about 60% the malolactic. You see, I think the oak is quite well integrated. The fruit is quite interesting.
The fun part and the key to making it through 2 days at the wine trade show right there at the Spitting. Wonderful.
The deep Chardonnay, you know, we get. It's a new release, you know. It's been about for the last month, you know, outside of Chile.
It's very delightful and a nice contrast to the other Chardonnay styles that we've been talking about the past week or so. This is a nice option, and from the Torre, it's a very well-known name
And in Chile
in
as
Spanish
well.
and Chilean wine. The other way to make it through the day is to find some old friends, and that's what we do as we head upstairs, where our Burgundian friends, the BOISSETs, have an amazing display. We so enjoyed our visit with them in France, we had to stop and say hello.
Great to be here, gentlemen.
Very
Thanks
nice
for
to see
inviting
you.
us.
Thank you so
We're
much.
glad to see you.
Happy to be here. Oh, merci.
Oh.
We have that lovely hand as well.
Ah,
We're still on
Très bien,
vacation,
monsieur.
folks. Absolutely.
See, Jean-François, what you get when you're closer.
But this is a wonderful story. There's your family winery, and huge. It's an empire.
No, it's not. You know, the wine business is a collection of small little things. Actually, you were in Burgundy last week, so you really got to see who started the business, my parents, and really from one bottle to the next, the company slowly but surely grew to a collection of small boutique wineries. So it's nothing mega in terms of brands or in terms of anything else. Burgundy being such a small region, it's important to manage it as such and to keep that uniqueness in terms of styles of wine and origins of those wines. So we're in fact a small company in many regions. That's how I would maybe define it.
Midwestern wine lovers will recognize the labels of Moreau, Chablis, of Ropiteau, Montrachet, Polini Montrachet, Chassagne Montrachet wines. They'll recognize the name of Bouchard, 80, very fine red and white Burgundies from the ancient city of Beaune, and Jaffelin, and as John Charles says, they're very small wineries, but they have a collection of them. And it's not one large winery as we might have in the U.S. And they also have wineries in the U.S. where they've expanded their operations multinationally. They have Leith in the Sonoma County area. They have William Wheeler Winery in Sonoma as well. And perhaps a bit more well-known outside of California is Joliet's more popular priced wines, which have become very, very popular. They'll be too modest to say so.
Yeah.
So this is really, this is the epitome of the expanding, dynamic, growing, foresighted negociant from Burgundy.
Absolutely, and it's exciting, and it's also probably a challenge on your point too to take the winemaking technique and the style and everything and transfer it to the American palate and American consumer as well.
For sure. Well, we had such an eloquent speaker in representing those wonderful description that now we know how to do it in the U.S. That was great pronunciation, Dr. Vine.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's true, it's exciting for us because what we want to try to do is really understand the terroir better. Terroir being a combination, obviously, of complex definition of what soil, climate, and the vine plant and the rootstock is. Correct me if I should.
That's perfect. That's perfect so far.
Good, thank you. And we want to try to experience. We believe the United States has a lot of tremendous potential, and specifically California, being Sonoma, being Napa, and there's very few companies who've dared moving away from Burgundy, staying in Burgundy, but moving to California to do what we've done. So it's interesting in terms of trying new things and experiencing new wines, and we learn a lot from those new areas as well. And the cross-nurturing process is very critical.
Well, speaking of experiencing things, we have a bottle of one of your wines. Care to tell us about this?
I'll let maybe Jean-François tell us a little bit about the Nuit Saint-Georges.
So I think we'll have a symbolic wine to taste together today. It's a Nuit Saint-Georges wine. We are based in Nuit Saint-Georges. Historically, the family BOISSET has really grown from the Nuit area. It's a 96 vintage, and Dr. Vine will tell you more about the very famous 96 vintage, which we reckon it's probably one of the most concentrated, rich, deep vintage we had in the last decade. It's a wine which has been produced at our vinification site here, right in Nuit Saint-Georges. So everything from our own grapes, which we vinify on site. So wine which will probably be not perfectly mature for tasting. Probably not the ideal refreshing drink in this very hot environment. But
inside and outside.
just as a symbolic wine we need to raise.
Lovely.
As you can see, we've kept the Burgundy breeze over here. It's a very enjoyable place to stay.
We've noticed a big difference when you come
Cheers, Jill.
downstairs.
Yes,
to
votre santé.
Votre santé.
Votre santé. Thank you.
And waiting for your next visit to Burgundy.
Oh, so are we. Oui.
Oh, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious.
And of course, we made some new friends at the show. The winemakers from Georgia, the Soviet Republic, not the U.S. state, where we were told they make a red wine called Georgian Viagra. I couldn't pass that one up.
This is souvenir from Georgia.
You wear this on the...
That's your drinking medicine too.
Is that what you do? Oh, this is it. This is how you have to do it.
Special in one portion from Georgian Viagra. Special.
So I have to do... You have to drink out of this?
Yeah, but very slowly, very slowly. Very slowly. This is for me.
So.
This is for me.
After you've had the wine. This is before the wine, after the wine, right?
It's a Viagra, only this.
This is lovely. This is really nice. What kind of animal is this from?
That's a cow.
Toro. Georgian Toro.
Georgia Toro. I love
Not
it.
Chicago
Great.
Bulls, Georgian Bulls.
Well, this is wonderful. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, you're
Very much
welcome.
appreciate it.
Tonic, please.
Oh.
It's very sanitary, don't worry.